Hi friends, welcome to another video of Codelligent. In this video, we will see in what exactly is LINQ in C#.NET. So this is a pretty big topic. So I have covered this in multiple videos. So this is the agenda for the whole series. So what you can expect in this whole series. First, we will be looking into an introduction to LINQ. We will try to understand what exactly it is. And then we will see what are the two types of syntax which we have in LINQ. One is extension methods based syntax, another one is query operator based syntax. And then we will try to see what are the different operators which are available in LINQ. And then we will jump into joins using LINQ. As and when we cover one concepts, we will be checking a demo also to understand exactly how it works in the code. So first we'll see the intro to LINQ. LINQ stands for Language Integrated Query. So Microsoft says it is a set of technologies based on the integration of query capabilities into the C# language. So in simple words, it is a capability of C# language which will allow you to write query based syntax to work with various objects. So what all LINQ supports, you can see on the right side. LINQ supports objects like collections, files, strings, etc. LINQ supports entities, that is entity framework. If you are aware of entity framework, which is a technology to connect with database and query from database. So LINQ can be used with that. LINQ can be used with XML, that is XML documents. So when we are dealing with XML documents, you can write LINQ queries to fetch the XML elements and tags. And LINQ can be applied on datasets. So when you are working with ADO.NET datasets, LINQ can be applied to query into those datasets as well. So as I have said already, there are two syntaxes which we use in LINQ. One is method based and one is query based. So very soon we will see the difference between them. And for an information, you should always be aware like namespace which the LINQ is provided, that is system.linq. So in earlier Visual Studios, we have to explicitly include system.linq, but these days with Visual Studio 2019 and all, we get system.linq by default added. So let's see what are the two syntaxes which we have in LINQ. So first one is LINQ extension method based syntax. So on the right side you can see how we write this. So this is simply a set of methods which you can append one after the other. So for example, if books is a collection of book objects, then we can say dot where some condition, dot order by some property, dot select some property. So this is how we chain the different methods in LINQ. So these are all different extension methods provided by the LINQ namespace, which we can directly use on collections. So there is another way of writing the same thing, which is nothing but query operator based syntax. So people who work with SQL queries and all, who are familiar with SQL queries, they will find this very familiar. So the same syntax which you saw on the top can be written in this way, that is from B in books, where books is again the same collection, where condition, order by property, select some property. So these are nothing but various clauses, or you can say various operators which are available in LINQ. So we will be covering them soon. So you can see these two are doing the same thing, but it is written in two different syntaxes. So whichever you are comfortable with, you can go ahead with that. The one main difference which you will see in query based syntax is like if I am using a method based syntax, I can say books.where and condition, and I can put a semicolon here and end my statement. But whereas query based syntax doesn't allow that, you have to end the query based syntax either by select operator or by group operator. You cannot just use where condition and stop the statement. So that we will be seeing very soon in detail. And yeah, one note, that is like there is no restriction of using these syntaxes in your code. Maybe you can mix these syntaxes in the same method as well. There is no restriction on that. So one thing which you should be aware when you are using method based syntax, these parameters which takes like the where clause or order by clause or select clause, these take the lambda expression. So if at all you are not familiar with lambda expressions, please check the other video which is available in this channel, wherein we have explained the lambda expressions in detail. So to work with method based syntax, you should be very much familiar with lambda expressions. So let's see what exactly is select operator. So select operator is used for selecting any particular property out of an object. So on the right side you can see a sample code wherein suppose we have books, which is a collection of book objects. We can say dot select, and this is how we write the lambda expression, where b is a variable which we have declared, equal to b dot author. So now books is a collection of book objects, whereas finally you want to select only the authors from it. So the output of this will be a list, or rather it should be a enumerable of strings which will contain only the authors names. So same thing you can write in the query based syntax, where you can say from b in books select b dot authors. So you can see both are same things, like both will return you the same output, only the way you write it is different. So this is the explanation, wherein like you have the collection books which you are using in query based syntax here. You have a b variable declared which you declare it in the query based syntax after from, and you are using a select operator which you use after the collection in query based syntax. So only difference is this is a method, so you write s as capital, here everything is small letter, and b dot author, which is nothing but the property which you want to extract, and that you are writing here after select. So pretty much both are same things, only the way you write differs. So select operator gives you one more flexibility. It is like to define your own type from an existing type. So that is nothing but if you have a books collection, so the books collection might be a list of books. So each book object might have ID, name, price, quantity, author, and many other properties. But when you want to list down and you want to extract from this list maybe only the name and price, then you can say books dot select b as a variable, lambda operator, and you can say new curly braces, like how we define a new class, and then you can say book name, which is you are defining a new property and you are assigning the b dot name value into that property, and cost equal to b dot price. So the price property value will be assigned to cost. So it is nothing but you are defining your own type with two properties. So this syntax will loop through the list of books and create this object for each item in the book. So the output data will be a list of objects, and each object will have two properties. One is book name and another one is cost. So let's see how it works in the code on real time. So I'm in Visual Studio now, and it's a console application which you have created to show how the LINQ works. So to save the time, I have already created few classes ready here so that I don't spend time on that. So first one is book class, which has some properties like ID, name, price, and author. And I have a constructor which takes these values when you instantiate it and just assign those values to these properties. So this is one class which I have defined. And there is another class called book database, which has a static method called get books data. It returns an enumerable of book type. So inside I am just creating a new list of all the books and returning. So this data is just a dummy data. So instead of connecting to database and getting the data, I am just creating a local data here, which we will be using in our code. So now coming to the main method, I have declared a books variable where I am calling the book database dot get data. So that means here you will get the list of all the books which we have created in book database class. So now let's see how we can use our LINQ on this collection. So as you see, using system.linq is already added in the namespace. So if at all it is not added, please add it explicitly. Without that, the LINQ will not work. So now to see select operator, so we can say var maybe some data equal to, first we will see the method based syntax. So we have to say books dot select. So now in the select, it expects a function. So it's like you can define it using a lambda operator. So I will declare a variable b and the lambda operator. So now if you see, b is nothing but type book. So it loops through this books list and gets the book object one by one. So what you want to do on each object, that you have to define after this lambda operator. So I want to extract b dot only the author name, so I can say select b dot author. So now the list which you get outside is nothing but an IEnumerable of string. So that string means nothing but the author name. So if you want to verify, let's print it. I will use a for each and item in data, and I will have a console.writeLine wherein I will just print item. So now if I run this, you should be seeing all the author names which are extracted from that books list. So now we can see the same thing, the query based syntax. So I'll just comment this and I'll say var data is equal to from b is the variable which I want to declare, in books which is the collection, and I will say select b dot author. So this is how you write query based syntax, and which is equivalent to this method based syntax. You run this, you will get the same output. So it depends on your comfort which one you want to use. So now this is how you extract a simple select. Now maybe if you want to extract two information, so you just don't want only author, so maybe you want to extract the book name and the price. So then what you can do is, so here instead of just returning the author, you can say new and curly braces. So now you are defining a new type. So here I will say the first property name I want to define as book name, and the value which will go inside that will be from my variable which is of book type. So b dot I will say name, and I want one more property, maybe price. So I will say book price, and the value of that will come from b dot price, and that's it. So now the data, if you see, is of IEnumerable a, where a is a new data type of string and double. So now when I loop through this data, I will get a set of book name and price. So to print that, I will print both of them. So like for example the name, so I will say item dot. Now you can see you will get the name which you have defined here, the property which you have defined here, so book name, and the price as well. So I will say item dot book price. So now when you run this, you will get both the name and the price. So if you want to write the same thing in query based syntax, so I'll just comment that and I'll say var data equal to from b in books select and new and the curly braces, and here you will define the same thing. So you will define the new property book name, and the value will be book dot name, and you will define book price, and the value will come from b dot price, and that's it. So if you run this, the output remains the same. So if you don't want to create this new, instead of that there is another approach where you can create a tuple. So if you are not familiar with tuple, there is a detailed video of tuple also in this channel which you can refer to. So now instead of creating a new, I don't want this new, so I'll just remove it. Instead I will define a dynamic tuple type here, so which will be defined with brackets, and inside which I will say my name as book name, which is the value will be coming from name, and maybe book price, and the value will be coming from price, and that's it. So again this will create an IEnumerable type of string comma double, but it's not an object type, it's a tuple type. But again here it can be accessed in the same way. So now when you run this, again you will get the same output. So whichever you the way you feel, you can use it. And when you are dealing with LINQ, there is a shortcut approach for using a for each, but that doesn't work with IEnumerable type. It works only with list type. So it's just a trick which you can use it. For example, so if you want to use that, you need to convert this to a list. So as of now, you can see this data which you are getting is of type IEnumerable type. Instead, I'll convert it to list using the toList method. So this is again an extension method which you are getting on the collection types. So it's nothing but the IEnumerable type will be converted to a list type. So with list type, when you are dealing, you need not use for each. You can say data dot for each. So the collection will have a for each method. Inside this, you can again use lambda operator. So you can say b, and you can do the console.writeLine here, and I'll copy this same statement here, and instead of item it will be b dot book name and b dot book price, and no semicolon here. The semicolon should be at the end. So this is another shorter way of writing your for each when you are dealing with list. So the output remains the same. Now let's try to understand the where operator. So where operator is used for filtering data from a set of data. So which is nothing but, you can see on the right side the code, wherein books is a collection of books, where you can say dot where, and using the lambda operator you can mention the condition. So here I have mentioned like dot where b, lambda operator, b dot price less than 100. So what it will do is it will loop through the books collection. It will go through each object and it will check whether b dot price is less than 100. If this condition is satisfied, then that will be added, that book item will be added into a separate list, and finally the list will be returned as an output. So the same thing you can achieve using the query syntax, where you will write from b in books where b dot price less than 100. But there is a difference in the method based and query based syntax. As I have told before, the query based syntax can only end with a select statement and group statement. So you need to use finally the select and what you want to select. For example, if you here in this case we are just having a condition where b dot price is less than 100, so automatically this guy will loop through the books and return the book object. So that means you are returning the whole b object. So the same thing you have to do here is select b, or you just want to return a specific property like name or the ID of the book, then in the select statement you can say b dot the book name. So the same thing if you want to achieve in method based, you will have to say dot select, and there you have to specify the property. So this you have to make sure, like whenever you are using a where clause in query based syntax, you should not miss the select. So let's try to understand this where clause using the code. So here I already have the list of books. So now I want to extract the books which are maybe cheaper, which are less than 600 rupees. So I'll say where, I'll say data is equal to books dot, now I can use where, and here I will use lambda expression. So b is the variable which I am declaring, and I say b dot price is less than 500. So I'll just print this data so that we can verify the output. So I'll say data and console.writeLine. Maybe here I will print both the name and the price. So I'll say item dot name, that is a book name, and I'll print the price as well. So it will be item dot price. So now let's run and see. So you can see only the books which are less than 500 rupees. So if you don't want to see both the names of name and price, you just want to get the name, so anytime you can say dot select, and here you can again say b, that is again this will be the book. So here the way you have to understand is like every clause returns you a IEnumerable, that is every operator will return you a list. So when you did a where, you got an IEnumerable of book again, and then on top of that you are doing a select query. So now you will say b dot maybe only the name. So now this will give you a list of strings. So now you don't have these two items, so what I can print is only the item, which is a string. So now if you run, you will see only the names. So let's undo this change and we'll remove the select statement so that we can keep this here. We will try the same thing using query based syntax. So let's comment this line. Now where data is equal to, I'll say from B in books where B dot price is less than 500, select B. So nothing but I am returning the whole book object itself, so that I can get the name and price both here. So now when you run, you will get the same output. So this is how you use a where clause. So here again you can define what you want to return, like the same thing how we were returning the only the name. So here you normally use select, and in the select you will have to again define the lambda expression saying b dot name. So same thing if you want to achieve here, you can just say select b dot name. So now it will, instead of returning the whole book object, it will return only the name of that. So again, if you want to print that, you cannot print all these. You can have to just keep the item because it's of string type, and when you run, you will get only the name type.